In this video, you'll see a tutor and learner discuss the benefits of journal writing. Then, they'll try out a specific kind of journal that's useful in adult literacy tutoring, a dialogue journal. Journals provide a space for personal expression and reflection. Through journal writing, adult learners gain valuable writing experience and ongoing practice. Keeping a journal helps a learner get comfortable with writing and gain confidence. Journals capture interesting ideas that matter to a writer and can stimulate more writing. Different kinds of journals can be tailored to the skill level of a writer. Learners can look back over their journal entries and see how their writing skills have improved over time. Please resist the impulse to make corrections to learners' journal entries. Think of a journal as a judgment-free zone. It's what makes them powerful and effective.
Darcy.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good, thanks. It's nice to see you again.
It's so nice to see you. Did you have a good week?
I did. Everything's been busy, but I kind of like it that way.
Life is busy.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, though.
Today, I thought that we would try a new strategy.
Okay.
And the theme is going to be all about journals. The reason, you have so much happening in your life, and I have so much happening in my life, and a journal is kind of a nice way to capture pieces of life on paper.
I could see that because sometimes one day blurs right to the next, right?
It's true.
Yeah, it's just too fast.
So fast. So, Darcy, when you think about a journal, do you keep a journal or do you know people who do? What is a journal? What do you think?
Well, I don't know if I know anybody, maybe, but they don't tell me, I'm sure.
Right.
No, I don't keep a journal. I remember as a kid, I would just, kind of keep a journal, but it was more of like random poems, that I wrote but that was much younger. I haven't done that in years.
Wow, I love hearing about that. Maybe it'll come back.
Maybe.
Well, we'll give it a try, right?
Every now and then I come across it. They're pretty rotten, lousy poems. So.
It's so sweet, though, like when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Why do people keep journals? Why do you think that they're a thing? What do you think they might do?
Well, just to keep track of daily life, and for me now, it's interesting to kind of go back and get that snapshot of what my life was like when I was 15 or 16 years old. And, some of the daily events that happened, or, I was upset with my dad, or, my girlfriend broke my heart or something like that. I can kind of go back and see that. And just, and it's, at this point, it's kind of funny to see, but, it is rather interesting to see how life kind of progresses. And that journal is a way to keep track of that, I guess.
Yeah, you can snap back to a certain period of time. Something else about journals is, and when you were keeping one when you were a kid, it's kind of like, it's a place where you can just write and clarify your thoughts and feelings and have on paper, maybe making a little more sense of events that have happened and so forth. That's one reason people keep journals.
And as you're talking, I'm kind of remembering just that kind of free flow of my hand just writing on the paper, and it does. I remember feeling very good about that. It felt nice.
Yeah, and so in addition to putting events on paper and maybe venting, or having your heart broken, and there it is on paper years later. So really, I think there's an emotional element to a journal where maybe you can write things in a journal that you will never and maybe should never say to someone else. If you're angry, or just having a place where somebody or something is really there for all of these human experiences, right, and it's called a journal. And I love how you mentioned just kind of the feel of putting words on the page, because there's a whole set of writing reasons to keep a journal. And like you mentioned, it just feels pretty good to flow on the paper, right? It's a place to simply write, and it can be that simple. It's not a place where we need to spell anything correctly.
Oh, good.
We really don't, yeah.
I love that spelling doesn't count.
Yeah, and it's well said. It just doesn't count. And any other kind of mechanical piece of writing like grammar or word order or neatness. A journal's like you can scratch things out and
that's a good thing for me.
Yeah, me too. For everybody, it's true. So something else about just kind of the writing aspect of it. When we're tutoring, sometimes when we keep journals, you'll start to see patterns come up about topics that are interesting. Oh, like a certain topic might come up again and again.
Yeah, okay.
And we're not going to work on anything as far as a journal goes in terms of practice, because in different parts of the lesson, we can take an idea that comes up again and again in a journal and say, oh, maybe we should write more about these experiences that come up in the journal.
So the journal starts to be like an idea that I can sort of build on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nicely put, too.
Okay.
Yeah. So some ideas might come up that we want to build on. Some ideas might come up that we don't want to build on,
Throw it away.
So can you tell how just free form it is, and it's all about what you want to do?
Yeah, and I like the idea that nobody has to see it, or nobody's going to correct it, nobody's going to grade it.
Right.
And
I
like that.
That's a key piece. That's fundamental. And the same goes for example, spelling practice. So if words come up again and again in a journal, and it's kind of like, this might be an important word to really learn how to spell for sure, then in a different part of a lesson, we can practice and focus on spelling. But this is the criticism-free zone. Darcy, when we do a journal, it's also a chance, it's writing, it's just keeping our hands moving. And, in some ways we have these muscles in our hands, and, we're going to be like doing some bodybuilding for these muscles. And something that's pretty amazing about a journal, if you keep a journal regularly, you look back and not only do you remember certain events or you have an aha because there's a pattern that's shown up again, but you're going to see, I can almost guarantee this, you're going to see improvement in writing. And it's a way of practicing writing to improve writing.
Okay.
And so that's one way it's super relevant to our tutoring here.
Okay.
Not to mention that the vocabulary, you have an amazing vocabulary. The vocabulary is at a perfect level for you because it's coming from you. It's about the most interesting topic in the world, right?
Yeah.
Because it's from your life. It's like, yeah, that's pretty interesting. And so it's a real great source of material for other writing, or just to have writing that's meaningful, and just to have writing that's meaningful on the page that's yours.
Yeah, something very personal to me.
Yeah.
In a dialogue journal, a tutor and a learner take turns writing messages to each other. It's like passing notes or having a conversation on paper. Dialogue journals reveal experiences that matter and that allow tutors and learners to get to know each other better. Themes that arise in a dialogue journal can give you and your learner ideas about reading materials and writing that you can expand upon in other parts of a lesson. Tutor's entries model standard sentence structure, spelling, and punctuation that take hold on a learner's writing over time. Journals show evidence of writing improvement.
There are a lot of kinds of journals, actually, and we're going to try out a specific kind of journal called a dialogue journal.
Okay.
And it is a strategy for writing. And I want to ask you about that word, strategy. When you hear that, what do you think of?
I think of like a plan moving forward, So we kind of plan it out and then, move into that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a plan. And, there's, with the plan, it's like, okay, we have different steps that we take every time. I heard a fellow, he was saying it was like a recipe,
Yeah.
that you know that these things happen in this order. And so it's a plan, and it has different steps. So I just want to tell you what the steps are for a dialogue journal, and then we'll actually give it a try. Okay? So these are the different steps. The first step, and this is critical, is you always date your entry. Before you write what you're going to write, you always put today's date. Why do you think that is?
I think it's important just so we can, reference back and see what it was like last week, last year, last month, these kinds of things. And I think it is important.
Yeah, beautiful. And that's one. And then the second step is I'm going to start, it's basically a conversation on paper. Okay. So I'm going to write down a little bit about my life. And it's going to end with a question about you. And so then I'm going to read out loud what I wrote. And the reason for that is then you don't have to deal with my handwriting.
I don't have to read your handwriting.
Which is always a blessing. And then the second part of me reading out my own piece is there are probably things that, sometimes I add things or change things that I thought that I'd written or wanted to write. So it's a chance to kind of self-correct. Okay. So, and then after I read the entry to you, I hand it on over. And then you do the same thing. You date your piece, and then you can respond to my question, write a little bit, and then you can ask me a question. Okay. So those are the next steps. And I think a step as well is that we make it a regular part of our tutoring session.
So every time we get together, we would do this. Okay.
Exactly. So it's kind of almost like a ritual. And
all right.
A lot of times I like to, touch base, how are we doing?
Yeah.
And then jump into a dialogue journal just because it continues the conversation, except it's on paper.
Okay.
And then, if it seems to be going well and we'd like to try it, instead of doing it together in our lesson, sometimes, maybe it can go home with you.
All right.
And then you come back with it completed, and I add to it, and then we do it that way. But, we'll play it by ear and see what works well for us.
Okay.
And then the last step, very important.
All right.
The last step is if we decide if we want to continue doing it. Right?
Right.
So, I will tell you, I love to do dialogue journals during tutoring because they offer so much insight. They offer us a chance to get to know each other, to notice themes, to see what we might want to practice in different parts of a lesson. So they're terrific, right?
Okay.
And I have noticed that for some people, they really take off with journals, and it's really becomes a part of their day and a part of their life that they enjoy, and that's helpful. And then other people, it's like, this isn't my cup of tea. That's why
I'm willing to keep an open mind, give it a try.
Well, thank you. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so now we've talked about it. We're actually going to do the strategy. So
right.
The first step is I'm going to model some writing. And I brought a special notebook, and I think it's just a lovely size because it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, we have to write so much just to fill the page. So I kind of like choosing a size that's nice for a journal.
Okay.
And the reason it's a binder is so that it will always stay together. And it will be very satisfying if we decide to keep this up, to be able to look, flip through the pages, look back, and notice things like, wow, over time, sentence structure, grammar, spelling gets better and better. Not to mention handwriting sometimes.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and write the first entry. I'm going to close it like this so there's not as much space to fill. And you can write in pen or pencil or marker, whatever you want. You'll notice I'm going to write the date here. And what's the date today, Darcy?
It's February 8th.
Okay. So all right.
2020 already.
Oh my goodness gracious. February 8th, 2020. And I'll write a little message to you. It's almost like a letter. I'll say, "Dear Darcy." I've written kind of a little letter here, and I'm going to sign off like it is a letter. So I'm going to sign it off, and I'm going to say, "Your friend, Amy." Okay. Now what I'll do, step 2, is I'm going to read it out loud to you so that I can change stuff and so you can hear what the message is.
Right.
And I'm always happy to repeat the reading, and you're welcome to ask me to repeat it and vice versa. Okay. So February 8th, 2020. Dear Darcy, this is going to be a fun weekend. My family is taking me out for dinner to celebrate my birthday tonight. Do you have plans this weekend? What are you going to do? Your friend, Amy. Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, the next step is I just put it right over here. And this is a kind of journal where we are going to be reading each other's entries. So that's important to know before, because not all journals are like that. So this will be a conversation on paper. So what you can do is you can use the same format where you put the date, and you can do it like a letter. You don't have to, but you can basically see what I've written and borrow any language that you want from it, but write whatever you want.
Should I start here or start a new page?
I think it would be good to be able to start on this same page so you can use this part as a model for the format you use. So you can go ahead and respond, and short is good, so...
Okay, I'm all done.
Oh, okay, cool.
Should I read it to you now?
What have you got here?
Well, I have it dated February 8, 2020. Dear Amy, happy birthday, almost. I hope you get to go to your favorite restaurant. I don't know how to spell those words, so I underlined them.
Okay, great.
You get to go to your favorite restaurant for dinner.
Thank you.
I joined a softball team, and we start our practice this weekend. What is your favorite restaurant or type of food?
Boy, I love how you make conversation on paper. Oh, so you joined a league.
Yeah.
Wow. What's that like?
Well, I don't know yet. We just started. I had to go this morning, and we signed some papers, some legal documents about insurance and whatnot. And so our first practice is tomorrow.
Cool.
So I'm going to find out all about it. But it's just a way to be social and just get out and meet new people and do things and stay active.
Wow, wonderful. And, these are things, when we have our conversation, because it's so fun to hear about what other people are doing, because I find it fascinating and inspiring to join a team and a league. And I love talking about restaurants and so forth.
I love food.
Excellent. So these are fabulous topics for a dialogue journal, because it really is, it's a conversation that we can have. And it is on paper.
Ongoing,
so it's kind of a real quiet conversation, but it's genuinely engaging. What we've done so far is we've got a special notebook just for our dialogue journal. And, I've written an entry, You've written an entry. We've shared a lot of interesting stuff so far. Would you, do you think we should keep doing this during our lessons for a little while?
I'd like to give it a try, because as I was writing this, I could see how this could help my just conversational skills and just making sure that I'm engaging other people and not just talking about myself, but actually asking questions about others and finding out what's going on in their life,
Okay, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. That's really an insightful observation. And then we'll see how it goes in our lessons, and we can also try writing outside of lessons. It's really ours to play with. And then I think every time we do it, after we do an entry, we can go to that very last step, and that step is, do we want to continue this?
Okay.
Okay, because some people really enjoy it, and for other folks, it's a chore. And we have enough chores at home, right?
Yeah.
When the vacuum cleaner has to come out and stuff. So Darcy, we're going to give it a try. It's one of many, many things we can try it out, see how it goes, take it, leave it, keep on experimenting with what we like to do during our lessons. Yeah. So I think it went well.
I'm ready to give it a try.
Is there anything you want to do next week for sure?
Not that I can think of, no. But I'm excited to give this a try. I can see, I want to give this a try, a good shot, and see how that goes.
Okay. And, next week I can bring in a different kind of journal if you want to try it. And we'll keep this one for sure till next week. So thank you so much.
Very well. And thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate you taking the time for me.
Well, I appreciate you taking time too. And it's just nice. I'll see you next week, okay?
Next week.
Okay.
You've just seen a tutor and learner talk about the benefits of journal writing and discuss and create a dialogue journal, a kind of conversation on paper. There are so many benefits to journal writing and adult learning. Keeping a journal can bring about powerful shifts in self-perception and help learners recognize themselves as writers.